Hi, well, this is the video on Coffin Text, and I quite enjoyed thinking about how to present this because I mentioned in previous videos about totems and gods and things like that. You can plot. What I love about the ancient Egyptians is you can plot how they developed, and it's very similar with coffin texts. The first religious texts in the world were written inside pyramids. Remember, we went back to the Menes pyramid. He was the first one to write magical spells, and those spells were about empowering him, dealing with the gods, feeding on the gods, being a god. Well, a lot's happened since then, and we had that first intermediate period, and that's really the birth of this so-called coffin text. It's called coffin text by archaeologists who are working in the field of Egyptian archaeology. But let's go back to Wasset. Remember, Wasset had they're isolated in the southern part of Egypt. They can't get access to timber from the Lebanon, and they need to bury their dead. So they cut down date palm trees, they took out the fibres, they placed their deceased relatives inside the trunks, and they carved the image on the surface of the trunk. And that was the birth of the anthropoid coffin. Other cheaper methods was to wrap the body up in linen wrappings and cover it in plaster. Or if you couldn't afford that, you produced a plaster mask, or known as a cartonnage mask. So with all these three designs, the one thing that they did in Wasset, this is the birth of the anthropoid coffin, is they included a rishi styled pattern on the tree trunks and on the plaster. So that was just that style for Wasset. So, but this is the beginning of these coffin texts, because the magical spells were included with the rishi style patterns. Now we move into 11th and 12th dynasty, and you've got your rectangular wooden coffin, which everyone else is using in the rest of Egypt. Now those eyes on the coffin, what are they about? Well, when they put the bodies in the coffins, they didn't lie them flat on their back. They always turned them on the side. And because there is a distance between the head and the bottom of the coffin, if you don't support the head, then the mummified head would fall off. And so that's why you have those headrests, to support the head inside the coffin. The body had to be on its side so that when the spirit went back inside the mummified body, it could look out of the coffin through those eyes. Below the eyes is that rectangular box. That's a full stall for the spirit to come through the coffin and back into the tomb, and back into the coffin and into the body. And then you've got those 4 columns of text going that way, one across the top. Sometimes you've got one on the top, and then on the ends you can have a goddess protecting. Inside the coffin is the magical spells. Now they had a choice to choose from 1,185 spells. Now these spells weren't just written on coffins. You could write them on your tomb wall if you preferred. You could write them on the stele, which was inside your tomb. You could write them on canopic jests, on papyrus paper, and on the mummified body. But they're classified as coffin texts because Egyptian archaeologists working in the field find most of the texts in coffins. And inside that coffin is a map. It's a map to get you through the subterranean world. And that subterranean world is full of dangers: crocodiles, snakes, monsters. There is a falcon god or monster that walks through the subterranean world. It's not called the underworld yet, with knives to cut off the heads of the dead And that's what those spells are there. They're there to protect the deceased bar as it makes that journey through there. The spells are also transforming the bar, and the bar is the consciousness of the Egyptian. So when the Egyptian was alive, they believed that they had a car spirit, which was the spirit of their soul, and a bar spirit. And the bar spirit was your conscience, a bit like Jiminy Cricket in Pinocchio. The bar was your, it was about you and how you lived your life when you was alive in Egypt. Was you a good Egyptian, a bad one? If you was really bad and your bar bird flew off, that was it. You couldn't go to the afterlife. So it was one way of regulating the behavior of everyday Egyptians. In the subterranean world, the bar bird goes through a transformation. Okay, and that transformation is from being a conscious earthbound to a spiritual bound part of the car itself. Wow. It's amazing when you're talking about nearly 4,000 years ago, and these are the early development of an afterlife or a heaven, the idea of a human heaven. Wow. Okay. The journey through the subterranean is to get to the field of offerings, and hopefully in the field of offerings will be Osiris, and Osiris will listen to your case and make a decision whether or not you can make that journey through the Duat every night, which was above Abydos in Upper Egypt, and above North Saqqara, guarded by the god Sokar. Osiris is the main deity for afterlife, but Sokar was the god of the afterlife for Lower Egypt. Remember, you had those jewels and those jewel kingdoms, Upper and Lower Egypt. Eventually, Osiris and Sokar will be fused together into one deity called Osiris Sokar, but not yet. Everything is still developing. Okay, so that's really what Coffin Texts are. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed the information video. Please, get tongue-tied. Please press that subscribe button now. It all helps. And I will see you soon. Bye for now.